Email is just another channel like Facebook ads or Google ads. If you want to have those high revenue numbers, you need to actually test it and take it seriously.
Welcome to the Mastering E-commerce Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Eitan Kotter, co-CEO of Vimy. In an era of rising acquisition costs and increased competition, this podcast is dedicated to helping you drive sales, engage customers, and build meaningful communities so you can turn passive visitors into active buyers. Now let's get started with the episode. Hello listeners, welcome to another episode of Mastering E-commerce Marketing. I'm really excited about today's episode. Going to discuss really interesting, challenging, I think really exciting topics of marketing, which is all about emails and email deliverabilities and email success and bounce rates and how to do things, because I've been busy with email marketing for like 2 decades and things are changing so fast, I believe. So here to help me and you unpack and uncover all the great things about email marketing is Nikita Vakhrushev, is heading ASPEKT, a digital agency just focusing on email marketing. Nikita, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks, Eitan. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be on. Happy to talk all things email and hopefully get some value for the audience.
Yeah. So I just interested that this is something that I always ask. What inspired you to start ASPEKT and why you are so passionate about email and SMS, helping D2C brands?
Well, starting ASPEKT it's more of an evolution rather than just a start. It all started out about 7, maybe 8 years ago at this point. I did print on demand drop shipping, and that led me into learning all the different marketing skills at a very basic level. I mean, back then in like 2016, you can run a basic Facebook ad and get purchases. Now
Yeah.
it's a little different.
Good old
But
days. Yeah.
yeah, the Wild West days when you can target people's credit scores. But basically learned basics about running a Shopify store and running advertising, running email marketing, CRO, etc. That sort of evolved into me helping friends and other people in my community with like helping them install Pixel or helping them manage Facebook ads until I got comfortable charging people for the services. And that was like a good transition period because by that point, print on demand and drop shipping was getting super saturated. So it's like, okay, my way out is to start out an agency or some sort of service. That slowly evolved into me growing a team in 2020 and 2021. And by that point, we were managing 5 different services like email ads, paid social media, websites, and CRO. And we had 5 to 10 different clients at the time. And it was just a headache to manage everything all in one. And we didn't have enough staff. I was burnt out. My team was burnt out. And I knew I had to make a change. So about 3 years ago, we pivoted specifically into email and SMS and pretty much haven't looked back. And we're able to just go a lot more deeper into that subject than we were ever before.
Amazing. That's another example of just zooming in out of so many things that you try to do, which helps you with first the business, being more focused, specialized, kind of a credible solution out there in the market, which is very specific, and also, I guess, the quality of life and just having a better processes and executing better. It's very, very important. So I hear a lot of companies out there that just feel that email has changed so much, right? Obviously, there are a lot of processes and various regulations from Google, Microsoft, all the different providers.
Mm-hmm.
What's the status of email marketing these days? How do you see things are evolving?
Yeah, I think a lot of the evolution comes down to not only the technical side, like you mentioned, so from like policies and new requirements for sending, like from Google and Yahoo earlier in the year, but also evolution on like personalization and communication with your customer. You know, 8 years ago when I just started, we didn't have SMS marketing. Well, maybe we did, but it wasn't as evolved as a channel as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with email. You could just set up a simple text only email on MailChimp, send it out, and you'll make money. But now you have to actually have a design team behind what you're selling, unique selling positions, as well as just the like when to send it out at the right time, segmenting audiences, etc. So I think over the last decade, the channel has evolved so much with the current trends in e-commerce. So You have to actually show your product. You have to be more visual with what you're showing and have a conversion focus on the emails rather than making them look pretty. But at the same time, you have to have the right technical setup and infrastructure on the back end to make sure that it gets delivered. So having the right SPF records, having the right DMARC setup, DKIM setup, all those other security protocols, so that way your emails aren't landing in spam. They're delivering higher, and there's less likely. You're less likely to have your emails be used for phishing scams, which just adds another layer of security.
Yes. Yes, and all these technical specification, and I know you need to activate multiple domains, warm-ups. This
Mm-hmm.
is something that you do on your customers' infrastructure, or you also provide that as part of your services, the whole deliverability infrastructure.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the things that a lot of clients have come to us this year is, hey, we need our flows built, but also our deliverability is really bad.
Yeah.
Can you help us fix it? So we handle the whole entire process there, from making sure that all the records are set up correctly, seeing what their domain reputation looks like, and then starting a plan of re-engaging their audience and regaining trust with whatever email service provider was affected, whether it's
Mhm.
Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, and niching down the audience and then slowly expanding it out as we build trust with those ESPs.
Yes, yes. So let's zoom out a little bit. And you mentioned before that you also experienced, spending $10 in Facebook, guaranteed to at least $1,000 of revenues, right? So
Yeah.
the good old days, right? Why? And I guess most of the brands are still focusing on that paid performance, right, type of strategies. Why emails is important?
So it came down to a few factors. I think number one is you have the data, like you own the data. So after, if you convert on Facebook, obviously pixel data is very proprietary. You don't know exactly what's going on with the pixel. You can share it with everything in your tech stack, but still you don't have direct access to those customers.
Hmm.
Whereas with email, once someone signs up, you have the ability to contact them at any point. Now, it doesn't mean you should contact them every day of every minute, but it's just you have more control in your business. And that's the one thing that I like in business in general is, and that's why I started having my own business, is to have control over my life, whether it's bad control and revenues down or good control and having my hand on the pulse with revenue or being able to send out emails. So I think the big thing for me was being able to control a channel fully, whether it's the email cadence, the type of content that we put out. Obviously, clients have final say on everything we send out, but you still have a level of control over the strategy rather than being burnt out trying to use Facebook ads and saying like, oh, there was an algorithm change. We weren't able to catch it in time. And now we have to restart the learning phase with all your ads and creatives. Or, man, these creatives burnt out after a week. We thought they were going to last a month. Now we have to reshoot creatives and have to scramble for that. So it's just a different level of control. And I think it burnt me out trying to manage that channel or like paid ads as a whole because of the outside circumstances within the platform.
Sure, sure. And it seems that like every day, I mean, if you just scroll on social media, right, you see these gurus and they're just
Hmm.
providing endless hacks, right, of what's working in email, what's not.
Hmm.
How do you know, I mean, to as a brand, how brands can learn and how they can understand just eliminating the buzzwords and trying to focus and know what's working today?
Yeah, you're not wrong. If you go on LinkedIn, every single
Yeah.
like, there's at least one post on the feed
And it's
with like, I
they've invested a lot, nice carousels, maybe great videos, right? So
yeah.
usually, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we sent out an email and it's generated a bajillion dollars for our clients,
Hmm.
which is I'm not doubting that. I'm sure that the strategy that they're providing is useful. But the best thing that we've seen is simply just A B testing with what's currently working. So whether it's a specific segment idea or a specific flow type, and this is something we do with our existing clients as well, that we sign on to do either campaigns or flows, we always in the initial phase uh, a/B test with what they currently have set up, because sometimes even we're surprised by the A/B tests where, the email, like if we're to compare two welcome flow emails, we use the client's old welcome flow and we use our current welcome flow. Our welcome flow maybe performed a lot better on the revenue side, but the old one had a better open rate. So it's like, okay, cool. We took something away from that. Let's change up the subject line to the old one on the new one. And now the new one is performing even better because, more people are opening it, engaging with it, and buying from it.
Mhm. So what I'm hearing is that there is no like secret sauce. You need to test, you
No.
need to A/B test and see what works on the specific customer that you're working with, right?
Yeah, email is just another channel like Facebook ads or Google ads,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
etc. You do countless of tests on paid media, and email is just another channel like that. And if you want to have those high revenue numbers that the gurus are touting, like 30%, 40% of email revenue coming in, you need to actually test it and take it seriously.
Yes, yes, yes. And how do you balance, you know, like pushing products, discounts, whatever campaign in the campaigns versus content around value or about the market, about checklist, and what's the again we know that there is no like any secret sauce here, but
Hmm.
how do you approach this type of questions in a sequence?
Yeah, generally we try to focus on content versus sales about 70-30%, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
80-20%. So 70% content and then 30% promotion. And the promotion could be either sales or product launches, anything that drives conversion or focuses on conversion. So when it comes down to it, we try to push out either blog content or like repurposing blog content into something more digestible on the email side, or any PDFs or ebooks, or any objection handling that goes around the specific product that we're selling. And then it could be 70% of the email is all focused on that. And then the last bit on the footer is about the new products that we're launching
Yeah.
or about products that would go well with the current blog article or the value that we put up. So that's typically the good ratio that we use.
Yes. Obviously, there's a more focus around like Black Friday, Cyber Monday kind of events.
Yeah.
Your recommendation is to focus around this type of specific events during throughout the year, or just email marketing all year long and just providing value and promotion in the right combination.
So the thing is, Black Friday doesn't work if you're not doing like Q4 in general wouldn't work if you're not focusing on Q1, Q2, and Q3
Wow.
because
Yeah.
if you suddenly start promoting your product, come October 1st, it's like everyone on your subscriber list is like, who is this guy? I
Yeah.
haven't heard from this guy since I ordered the product. What's going on here? So you have to keep your email list warm throughout the year in order to have a successful Black Friday or a successful holiday season. Otherwise, people are just going to forget about you. If you're not always in the inbox or if you're not always staying on top of it, obviously you'll still get revenue outside of Q4, but you still have to keep people engaged on your list. Otherwise, they'll just forget about you, and you'll have a poor Black Friday, Cyber
Hmm.
Monday.
Hmm. So how do you balance? I mean, we talk about email marketing, but we know we also have newsletters, which are probably
Right.
once a month, bi-weekly. How do you connect both of these activities, or is the same thing for you?
For the most part, it's still the same thing. Like
Hmm.
newsletters, email marketing, anything that involves you reaching out to a customer or reaching out to a subscriber is still engagement or direct engagement with them. So whether it's just sending out a newsletter update about your company, a newsletter update about anything valuable, it's still reaching out to them and you're still landing those free impressions with that customer. So otherwise, like if you're not landing those free impressions, they're going to slowly forget about you to the point where you send
Yes,
out an email in a couple months and they're like, I don't want to see this anymore. Unsubscribe, and you'll have a very high unsubscribe rate.
sure, sure. And what are usually the KPIs, like conversions or open rates? What's important usually for the brands?
Yeah, so open rates, we typically look at anywhere between 40 to 70%, depending on the niche or depending on their
Wow.
deliverability. So pretty high open rates on average. And if you're below 30%, I would start looking into your deliverability. And if you're below 20%, then there's definitely a problem there.
Hmm.
Um, on the click through rate side, anywhere between 1 to 4%, depending on the email that we send out. Obviously, if we're sending out a sale email, that's going to get a lot of click through rates because people want to find out more information. If it's an engagement email, most people will probably look over the email and read through it rather than click on it. And then on the revenue rate side, I would say it's about 10 to 20% of the clicks. So, for example, if you had an email that had 100 clicks, we'd probably expect anywhere between 20 to 30 purchases coming out from that
Wow,
email.
nice. That's amazing data to achieve. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So
that's
it
what
can,
happens when you take a channel seriously and test
yes.
for that.
And what I'm hearing is that it still can be done in, 2024 going to 2025, right?
Yeah, 100%. I don't like people say email's dead or,
Mm-hmm.
all this doom and gloom, but I don't see it on our back end. If anything, we're seeing clients perform way better than they did before because of taking the channel seriously and actually investing into that channel.
Exactly. I guess it's changing, right? It requires you to be more focused, more specialized, and just doing things in the right way. Okay.
Yeah.
So how is it been done? I mean, usually you work on a list provided by the customer, or they're expecting you to enrich the list. What are the practices to increase the database of contacts for emails?
Yeah, so when we sign on a client, it's a mix of both. It's a mix of them them having their existing list and then us coming in and providing strategies for growing the list. So a couple of things that we do is number one, obviously install a pop-up onto the website. If they don't have a pop-up captured, that's like the first thing we do.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the KPIs we look for that is anywhere between 5 to 10% conversion rate. We've had some brands where that conversion rate went up to 15 to 20%, but I don't want to set that as the standard. 5 to 10%, you're in a good sweet spot, meaning 5 to 10 people sign onto your list if you have 100 visitors.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, we also have ran Facebook ad campaigns, not us specifically, but our agency partners that are media buyers or the client themselves, for either signing up for a product launch to their existing Facebook audience or a lead gen form. So if there's an ebook or a guide or anything that's um, worth signing up, we have an in Facebook lead gen form that we collect email and phone numbers through and port them over to Klaviyo or whatever email service provider they're using.
Yeah. That giveaway, I think, is very, very critical for
Mm-hmm.
success, right? It can be or whatever. It's an ebook or some kind of a training or a course or whatever. I mean, it's a critical component, right? What do you see? I mean, you think people are just, I mean, you think that ebooks are still valid, or what are the uh, some of the, I would say, probably more interesting use cases of that giveaway that you embed into this email that are working these days?
Yeah, so ebooks are still working perfectly fine. It
Mm-hmm.
just depends on the niche, Like if someone's looking to learn more information about like how they can improve focus in their daily routine, like I'm always very like I'm like a self-starter and a self-improvement person, so I always look out for those, and even if it's just one piece of advice in one of those ebooks, I get a lot of value out of.
Okay. Yeah.
So, ebooks are still working perfectly fine. I would say giveaways in general work really well. The one thing with giveaways is you have to capitalize on that list immediately and start engaging with them immediately. Whatever you're giving away, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
an Amazon gift card, $1,000 worth of product, a yearly subscription, whatever it is, you have to constantly keep engaging with that customer because a lot of people enter the giveaway. But if you're not contacting them, a lot of people burn out of that giveaway. And now you just have 20,000 more people on your list paying a higher Klaviyo bill with those people not engaging with your list.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, so I think it's a really interesting topic. I mean, everything that we've discussed, and I'm also interested about that acquisition versus retention type of activities. How
Mm-hmm.
email campaigns are different in these two scenarios.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So, email campaigns are more of a nurture rather than an acquisition play. Well,
Hmm.
they can be considered, excuse me, they can be considered an acquisition play if you're converting new customers from it. So, you're nurturing them, but you're also taking them over the fence if they were on the fence about buying something. And that mainly comes down to the messaging that you provide in your campaigns. And I think I mentioned this earlier. We try to handle a lot of objections in those email campaigns. So obviously provide value, but also at the same time, it's like if we're selling retainers to help you align your tooth, it's like one of the biggest objections is like, when should I reorder a new set of retainers? And it's like breaking down those questions of, breaking down the time, wear and tear, all of that boring information that you might think is boring to the customer. It actually provides a lot of value to them and helps them educate themselves on how they should be keeping up with their products or their mouth hygiene, for
Hmm.
example.
Yeah.
So just breaking down objections like you would in a Facebook ad or in a UGC ad is
Hmm.
the same thing on the email side. It's just people on the email side aren't as like scroll happy. They're willing to take the time and read through the information.
Interesting. Interesting. So when you work with the customer long term, what is the frequency of sending those emails usually?
Yeah, typically it's anywhere between 1 to 2 a week, depending on the list size. So if
Okay.
the list size is below 20,000, it's anywhere between 1 to 2 a week. So one definitely, and two depending on if there's anything special going on. Anything above 20,000, that grants us enough context to be able to segment multiple pockets of audiences and do two sends a week, maybe three, depending on the content.
Hmm. And how do you develop those scripts? I mean, that's working throughout the year, right? There's a lot of things that needs to be addressed, right? How this is working. You're taking the content part, or you work with the content team from the brands. How do you come up with those content ideas throughout all these emails?
Yeah, so we do our own research anytime we bring on a new client.
Hmm.
On top of that, we understand exactly we research, but also know which hot days are the best for sending. So if there's a cookie brand, we're on the lookout for National Cookie Day or something like that, or National Baking Day, where it's like it gives us an excuse to send out. But on top of that, we collaborate with the client or their marketing manager and see exactly what days have worked in the past for them. But on top of that, we also see if there's any ideas that they have coming up, if there's any events that they're going to be at, if there's any product launches. So it's a month by month. Sometimes in a quarterly basis, we set up all the emails that we're going to do.
Hmm.
And basically, it's just a mixture of collaborating with the team, but also doing our own research as well.
Okay, and then you're providing probably a next month outline or something. You share it with the customer, you're
Exactly.
agreeing on the plan, the script, they approve it, and you go and execute it, right?
Yep. 100%.
Okay, okay. So we talked a lot about email. I think it's you gave me a lot of confidence. I'm quite optimistic. So after this chat, so thanks a lot. How the SMS is implemented here, and how do you balance email and SMS? How these two things are working together?
Yeah. So with SMS, it's mainly a secondary channel for us. We haven't
Mhm.
seen SMS be the main revenue driver for any business that we've handled. I could be proven wrong. I'm sure there's businesses out there where they get a lot of revenue from
Okay.
SMS, but we see it as a secondary channel mainly to help out with the conversion side of things, but also to keep people informed and to keep them coming back to the website. So SMS on average brings in about an extra 5 to 15% in overall revenue. So it's still a pretty healthy number if done correctly, but it does cost a lot more than email. So with email, all you need is a sending platform and you just pay for that monthly. You can design the emails yourself or have an agency like us handle it. But for SMS, you have to pay about a penny per send per contact. So if you have a lot of contacts, that bill is only going to get higher.
Yeah.
So you have to use it strategically. Now, the funny thing is between email and SMS is SMS tends to work a lot better when you have a lower average order value.
Hmm.
Meaning, if it's anywhere between $100 to $200, you can get that purchase very quickly because it's more of an impulse channel.
Impulse, like one click away for checkout, right?
Exactly. Rather than with email, you can provide a lot more detail about a higher ticket product where people can actually think through, go through the objections, and make a decision. Because
Yeah.
with SMS, you only have about 140 characters to make your point. Otherwise, you're spending a lot more money to deliver two, three, four messages.
Yes. And in terms of working a lot on designs and having these beautifully designed emails with graphics versus text based, how do you balance this issue?
Yeah, so we still haven't found a correct ratio, like the 70/30 or the 80/20 that I talked about, mainly because sometimes we like the text we send out, I think maybe like 1 to 2 text only emails a month,
Yeah.
and they tend to work out really really well because it just improves deliverability and engagement. And then with the design side, it's mostly design, so we still want to have that on brand look and feel with clients, because if we overly rely on text based emails, which perform very very well, then people will forget about the brand, or they forget about the brand imagery and would be hard to associate with the brand.
Okay.
So we try to keep it with mostly design, maybe like 90% design, and then 10% uh, text only.
Hmm. There is also a process where you do some surveys and ask customers if I'm happy with what they're getting, or they want some improvement or more focus on other aspects.
Yeah, of course. So that's typically part of our post-purchase automation. So
Okay.
after 2 weeks of getting the product or fulfilling on the item, they get a review request and with some sort of incentive, whether it's an Amazon gift card or a percent off or $1 off their future purchases. They then have I think like 2 weeks to leave a review, and we'll follow up with them. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll go ahead and follow up with them again. If they do submit a review, then they get an email about the incentive that they got, so a coupon code or whatever it is. But sometimes we do have big giveaways that we send out to the entire list if we need to rally up a lot of reviews and a lot of positive feedback through big giveaways. So again, it could be a big product giveaway, or either a product giveaway or a Amazon gift card giveaway through them replying to the email with their experience. Just to make it as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So specifically, we mentioned before specific times of the year, like we're nearing Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I mean, I guess you are very busy these days.
Yeah, we're definitely ramping up right now on the Black Friday, Cyber Monday side. So we had all of our plans confirmed last month, and now it's actual go time and starting to design things ahead of time to make sure that okay, all of our assets are ready for November and October, so that way when it comes time to November of actually sending and scheduling out all the emails, um, if something does happen, we are able to take care of it immediately instead of being bottlenecked in the design process. So
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to get everything done early this year instead of waiting to the last second.
Got it. And Nikita, how do you see the role of AI? Obviously, I can help a lot in these processes, right?
Yeah, we actually do use AI a little bit in our business,
Mm-hmm.
mainly for a few things. Number one is idea generation. So you asked about content generation. We obviously do our own research, but we also use ChatGPT or Claude for any idea generation for future campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, is like any grammar or cleanup on the grammar side, or trying to see different tones of voice. Um, on top of that, we try to use Midjourney or any other visual tools to help with any background imagery or any background assets for the business. We have yet to try that out for product imagery or any manipulation on the product photo side. It's not there yet, but for backgrounds, like if you need a nice smooth gradient or if you need um, any sort of background imagery, it's really helpful for
Mm-hmm.
that.
Got it. And what about personalization? This is something that you focus, or you just, A/B testing, same emails to the entire database?
Yeah, so we do have a bit of personalization in our services. It's a mix of not only the automation specific, but also within the email specific. So in the automations, we have a lot of personalization from like the welcome flow, abandoned cart, abandoned browse, abandoned site. So we are personalizing the follow up. But
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, we're also personalizing the emails themselves through name tags, through date tags, and sometimes even location. So if there's a specific location that a customer is in and we're throwing an event, we send out an email only to those people that we're throwing that event
Yeah.
in that town. The day of time is actually very useful. So if you're having an automation sale go out where it's like it's our special Wednesday sale or something like that. It could be a special insert day of time or day of the week sale, and you can just easily automate that email and just have it running on repeat.
Yes, and obviously you mentioned like previous events or touch points that you had. So this is also definitely can be
Yep.
personalized and created a specific workflow for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Great, Nikita. I know you're also into car maintenance and car improvements, and also a meme lover. So tell us more about your other passions.
Yeah, so just being chronically online, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok, it just comes with the job. You always have to stay on top of not only what's going on in the market, but also what's going on with competition and your clients. So just always being online kind of leads you into always being exposed to memes. So I love making memes, but I also love enjoying a good meme.
Nice.
Um, On the car side, I try to go on a lot of drives, like back road drives. I'm in Tennessee. There's a lot of hills and a lot of great roads. So I think once every 2 weeks or once every month, I try to go on a nice drive with a group of friends.
Mhm.
And like you mentioned, I also do work on my own cars, and it's a labor of love, but at the same time, man, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. One of the good things, right? That you can
Yeah.
do. Nice. So Nikita, how people can find you and your company?
Yeah, so the best way to reach out is through either Instagram, Twitter, or my YouTube channel, where I provide weekly value videos similar to this podcast.
Hmm.
It's just my name, Nikita Vakhrushev. If you're looking for working together, it's just my website, aspectagency.com, ASPEKT agency.com, and we're actually offering free audits that usually cost about $300 to $400, as long as you mention the podcast name in where you found us.
Nice. Nice. So Nikita, final tips for brand marketeers out there in terms of email?
Yeah, got a couple. So number one, make sure that you have your automation set up. If you don't have your automation set up, you're missing out on a lot of free impressions and a lot of free money on the table. Number two, make sure that all of your deliverability is set up correctly. Try to double check it. Try to make sure your DMARC is set up, your dedicated sending domains are set up, and try to monitor the deliverability tab in your campaigns, because there's a lot of hidden data that you may see. It's like, oh, we have a 30% open rate, but when you go to the deliverability tab, your Gmail is at a 5% open rate, but your Hotmail is at like a 40%. So Hotmail is kind of backpacking your account. And try to collect SMS numbers. If you're thinking of SMS in the future, but you're not in a good position right now, start collecting SMS numbers as soon as possible. Your future self will thank you later, because you'll have at least some sort of a database to start off with SMS when you do get to that point.
Amazing. Nikita, thank you so much. I enjoyed this
thank you.
episode a lot, learned a lot. All the best and good luck in this Black Friday, Cyber Monday campaigns.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the end of this episode. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content. Explore Vimy, the video commerce platform that includes live shopping, shoppable video, and social commerce capabilities. Visit Vimy at www.vimy.net. We appreciate your support and look forward for bringing you more valuable insights in our next episode.